everybody who has joined in. Today, the topic for our demo day is modern data pipelines for e-commerce companies. This has been a recurring theme that we have been talking about, and seems like it's one of the most relevant theme for the audience as well. To talk a little bit more in detail about this topic, we have Skand Agarwal, who's the sales engineer at Hevo Data. Thank you so much, Skand, for coming in here today and for all the information and content you'll be sharing soon.
Everyone.
Awesome. Cool. Moving on to the next part, I'll just walk you through the agenda real quick. And before going into the agenda, a few quick line items. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. We will be answering those questions towards the end. Also, this will be a very quick 25 to 30-minute session. So stick through the session with us. We have a little bit of content first, and then we'll dive deep into demo, and probably like a use case as well. So, just the agenda, understanding data pipelines in e-commerce, just making sure we set up the right context for the same evolution, how the data stacks have been evolving so far, how Hevo can help you in like your e-commerce data sets, and also a live demo. Then we'll talk about business impact and how actually people and companies are using Hevo right now. And then we'll discuss a couple of next steps that we wanted to share with you all. Awesome. I think we can start now. So Skan, for the question for you would be evolution of e-commerce data stack. What do you think? How has it been, and how do you think that's evolving?
Yeah. So most of the companies when they start with the different sources that they use for different types of marketing and e-commerce stack, right? For example, there would be ad-based platforms that they would be generating the ads on to attract customers, and then there would be some CRM tools to manage all the inventory and customer and orders management, right? Now, you'll need a centralized view to sort of drive the business there. And for that, you need the data out of those tools. Now, generally, what companies do is they do manual exports, maybe in sheets, Excel sheets, CSV files, or maybe even text files. And then they calculate the dashboards, like get information out of the data and design the dashboards, which is very slow process. It is prone to errors because you will definitely encounter some error in the manual work. Then, even if let's say you would try to automate it using some kind of scripting, it will still require the continuous maintenance. So let's say anything changes in the exports, you will need to change the script, and then you will need the maintenance for the infrastructure for those scripting scripts and that code to run to extract the data and then design those dashboards. So that's where you would need some modern pipelines with automated data flow from all these sources to a centralized place. And then it should be scalable. You should be able to quickly get the information that you require out of the data to take the business decisions. Right?
Awesome. That totally makes sense and kind of resonates with a lot of customers that I've been talking that, they started off with like total manual exports, CSVs and whatnot, then went into pipelining themselves, and then, finally a tool like Hevo happened for them. So that's pretty much the journey that I have also been seeing so far. Awesome. For the next part, why do you think these data pipelines even matter for e-commerce company? I know we have like briefly discussed about this, but would love to like go a little bit more in detail about it.
Yeah. So let's say I got the manual exports from the resources. I created a dashboard. Now that process is time consuming. It could result into me losing the revenue and losing potential customers because by the time I get those dashboards up and running, I might have already lost the sale opportunities to uh, the segment of the customers that I am actually chasing in the market, right? Then if there is delay in those campaign reports, then again, there would be delay in the business decisions that you would have to make in future, depending on what market you are into. And then again, there are different sources for different types of data. So it will cause you trouble, and it will require a bandwidth for a specific team or individual employees in the company to continuously feed that information and then create the dashboards manually on top of it. So you'll
Aw-
need a single tool to get all this information automatically without spending your team's bandwidth on this work and then focusing on other things.
Got it. I think it's very important to highlight the fact that we should use our data engineers or our data teams to actually do the right work, right? Which is basically making sure that they are able to, yeah, making sure that they are able to get the insights on time for everybody, right? Got it. Moving on. So, what do you think are the building blocks of an e-commerce pipeline would look like? I think the roadmap to their pipeline.
Yeah. So generally, when the companies try to migrate from these manual efforts to an automated tool, there would be a certain set of steps that they would want to take. So first of all, they would need to identify the data sources that they have currently to get the data out of the systems. For example, ad-based sources. It could be Meta ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, whatever platform they are campaigning on. And then they would need to define the objectives that they have for those campaigns. Then comes in the tooling part of it. So you would need to define ETL tool first to sort of connect to those sources automatically and continuously feed the data to a centralized location, which is where the data warehouse would come in. So you would ideally the in the process need to migrate all the data to a consolidated place. It could be a data warehouse, a database. From where you would connect those data warehouses to the dashboards, and then it could be a BI tool, which you can directly integrate to the tables that you have in data warehouse to get the dashboards and look at the graphical information out of there, which will then give you your insights on the customers. So you will get those insights. Which market are you focusing on? What actions do you need to take to retain those customers that you have? What campaign modifications can you take to sort of attract more customers and generate more revenue, right? And then continuously, you will need this data to be moving in as soon as possible, like near real time, so that you will not be delayed in making any of those decisions during the process.
Got it. Makes sense. It's a very clear path that starts off with, I think, defining what objectives you set for your company, right? So even before like laying down your foundation of data pipelines, data warehouse, that is something that I think every company should decide what the end outcome is, because there is overload of information right now, and if we don't set the objectives right, the chance of getting lost in the sea of too much information becomes very, very high. Awesome. Thanks for, taking us through this journey. And I think now we get on to the part where we show you all how Hevo can help through like this page, and also how you can build a pipeline for your e-commerce company for yourself as well. So Skan, take
Yeah.
them through this.
Yeah, so that's where a tool like Hevo would come in, where you will be able to directly connect to all these sources, being it ad-based sources or CRM tools, and then you can just set the simple pipelines in quick and easy manners. And once they are set up, you do not need to worry about them. The data will continuously flow to the destination, and on top of which your dashboards and reporting will be running fine. Now, for Hevo, I wanted to highlight a few features. So first of all, once you set up, and first of all, it's a no-code platform. So you'll just set up the pipeline once and you forget about it. It will keep running. Now, coming to the pricing model, we are very transparent in pricing. So we only charge you for the number of rows that you modify in the destination, like whenever you are loading the data. And in case you are having any queries, we have an awesome support team that you can directly reach out to that you can directly reach out to for asking assistance with any of your questions or concerns about the tool. And then we also have different features we also offer both preload and post-load transformations in case you want to maybe apply some data cleaning during the replication process, or even if you want to get some certain information out of the data. So let's say you have moved the data from different sources. Now you want to get uh, combine those information and use it for the dashboarding. You can use the post or transformations for that purpose as well. And then I'll be showing you a quick demo for all of these features.
I think we are right here for the demo. So let's show everybody how we can set and forget these pipelines. Over to you.
Let me quickly share my screen. So here I have set up already a few pipelines from databases to and then Facebook ads, Shopify. For this demo, I'll be showing you the process of pipeline creation from Facebook ads to a data warehouse, which is Snowflake in this case. Now, if I go on click create pipeline, I get the sources that I can choose from. I can search for my ad-based sources. So right now I'll just search for Facebook ads here. Now, once I select the source, it's just a four-step simple, easy process to set up the pipeline. I'll just select the account that I need to use, and I can add the accounts here that I want to ingest the data from. It will redirect me to the Facebook login page. I can just type in my credentials, and then the account will be added. Now, once I hit continue here, this is the source configuration page where I can give my pipeline a unique name, and then it will show all the accounts that I just logged into. So I can just select account from here. Then you have different types of reports that you can configure for specifically Facebook ads. So you can either use the predefined report option that we have, which automatically pulls in the pre-configured dimensions and metrics that we have defined. Now, in case you want your custom reports or maybe some specific configuration, you can go ahead and click on custom reports, and then you can select the fields according to your requirement. Now, there are a few more options. So add action report time, let's say if you want to ingest based on the impressions or when a customer got converted after viewing the ads, right? You can configure that. Then you can configure the historical data sync duration. So this defines how much backfill you want to have from the source. So let's say I have been running my campaigns for last 1 year and I want all of the data. I can just select that as well. And one more thing about this is we do not charge you for any of the historical loads. So in Hevo, you only get charged for the incremental data that you move through the pipeline. Then you have the attribution settings. So this defines as like the click attribution and the view attribution that I want to have. Now you can define custom attribution lot, or let's say if you want to use the attribution defined in your Facebook account itself, you can use that option. Then there are some other configurations based on the thumbnails that you have for the images in your ads. Now, once I'm done with the configuration, I can just continue here. Now, since I selected the predefined reports in my last configuration, it will already configure all the reports based on the fields and fields that we have predefined. Now, the third step would be to select a destination. So I can just go ahead on click on create add destination here. Now you have all the majorly used warehouses and databases that are commonly used in the market. So right now I've already created a Snowflake destination so that I can use. I'll also show the configuration of how it looks like. So let's say if I want to move the data to Snowflake, I'll just click on Snowflake here and it will show the configuration page for Snowflake where I just need to put in my Snowflake credentials like the database user account, a URL, and then password. So let me just go back and use the existing destination for now. So now once I select the destination, this is the final configuration page where there are a few more options. For example, I can give my prefix, my tables prefix. So let's say if I am loading the data from different sources, be it Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, into a common destination schema, and I want some identifier to be added from which source the particular table is coming from, I can add that, or I can choose to leave it blank. Then you can define the ingestion frequency of how frequently do you want to pull the data out of those systems. So you can go as fast as 30 every 30 minutes, Then you have the option of custom frequencies. You can also define at the time intervals of your own choice, or even let's say if you want to ingest the data at specific times based on which you can define your reporting as well. You can select that as well. Let's just leave it at 30 minutes for now. And once I hit continue, this is the pipeline creation. Now the pipeline is set up and it will just take a few seconds before it start to connect with the source. And we can see all these reports are being pulled. Now, the data is flown in 4 stages in Hevo. So firstly, it will start ingesting the data, and then it will pass to the transformations phase where I can apply the preload transformation that we just were discussing about. After that, all the schema mapping is done, and then finally the load. Now, I have already set up a similar pipeline which already ingested some data. So I'll just open that one for now to show the other features. Yeah. So this is another pipeline that I set up, which you can see that it is already pulling different reports from the Facebook account that I connected it to. Now, once the data is ingested, before even loading it to the destination warehouse, you can also perform the transformations, the preload transformation that we were talking about. So let's say if you want to do some data cleaning or maybe filter out some events, you can use that transformations. Now, again, there are two ways of doing these transformations. So first is a simple drag and drop interface that we have, where we have a predefined list of transformations that you can just drag on the UI. So let's say if I want to maybe mask some field, I can just search for that transformation. I can drag it here. Now I can apply this filter of where which table that I want to apply it on, or maybe specific fields. Once I'm done with the configuration, I can go ahead and test it on some sample data and then finally deploy it. Now, we also have a Python interface if you want to write some Python code specifically for performing the similar transformations. So you can write those transformations again in Python, and then before deploying it on the live data, you can actually test it and see the results. Then the data passes to the schema mapper page, where the auto mapping feature that we provide will automatically handle all the mappings between the source tables and the destinations tables that we create. So it will automatically create those destination tables and also handle any future changes to the schema that might be occurring, right? So, and if I want to maybe see the schema for a particular table, I can just click on the table and I can see all the fields that are being pulled for the ads table in this case, and then the corresponding destination fields that is it's mapped to. I can also customize the mapping if I want by turning off the auto mapping and then editing the mapping as per my choice. Now, once the schema mapper phase is done, the data finally gets loaded into the destination tables. Then comes the post or transformations part. So let's say what now? I have already created the pipelines from different sources. Let's say Facebook ads. Now I have another pipeline running from Shopify to Snowflake here, which will give me insights to the customers' data, right? Now, let's say I have already created those few pipelines. I've already migrated the data to Snowflake. Now I want to extract the information out of those data to come, like I want to combine that data and then I want to create the dashboard on top of it. So in that case, we do offer post transformation capabilities, which we call it as models. So again, there are two kinds of models that we offer. First is a simple SQL-based models. For example, this is one old model that I created. It is working on this destination itself. It's running a SQL query on top of the tables. And then extracting a certain information out of it. So I can test the query once I'm done with the pipeline creation. I can write these models and I can test the query. Once I am satisfied with the results, I can actually export this model and into a new table, and I can schedule it similar to a pipeline. So it will keep running without any interference required in future from my end. Right. And then we also offer integration with DB2 core for the post transformation modeling. So let's say if you are using DBT for your transformations, you can use the DBT core integration, which will connect to the models via GitHub repository. And then you can schedule those models to run from within Hevo itself. Now, as we talked about the support that we offer, you can directly reach out to us via the live chat option. And a person would be available 24/7 across all the time zones to assist you with your queries. Definitely not a bot there. So that was it from my end regarding how you can connect those e-commerce sources from different sources and create the pipelines, set up, forget about it, keep the data flowing, build the dashboards ready to take the decisions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Skand. This was like a really quick, nice overview so that people can start setting up their pipelines and start kind of building up their own unified view, I would say. So I think the last slide for you would be like, what do you think are like business impacts that a person can aim to achieve with Hevo?
Yeah. So first of all, since the setup would be one time and you will not need to maintain those pipelines, it will reduce the cost and maintenance efforts from an organization's perspective. So you do not need dedicated team members to manage all these reporting dashboards, right? Then it gives you a better insights, faster optimization on your ads and campaigns that you are running. It gives you better insight to your customers to give you insights about which market do you need to more focus on, or maybe your customers choice in terms of products that you are offering, right? So those are some of the benefits of setting up a tool like Hivo instead of doing the manual work.
Awesome. Got it. I think from here I'll take over and discuss about something that I had a personal conversation with the customer as well. And we did write up a case study on the same. So basically this story would be about like a company who has been in the industry from 1972. So they have been historically in retail slash e-commerce for the longest time, and how they built a data stack which was scalable and that could evolve with their own growth as well. So they had like a couple of challenges that they wanted to tackle. So since it was a very, very old company, what happens is the data first mindset takes some time to evolve, right? Once that kind of conversation started, they actually chose up the same process like we discussed in the initial few slides. So like the stage one of manual scripting and downloads, exports, trying to make sure your Excels do the job. But eventually that breaks off when there's a sizable company or there's sizable data for that matter. It generally does not give you very clear pathway to success. So that was one of their challenges. Then they moved on to the manual scripting part where they were doing their own manual scripting and whatnot. And people used to spend months and hours and days to build one connector. So I remember them telling me that like four engineers building one connector in 2 weeks, which is a lot of time if you consider like a company of the scale, right? So there was like a lot of data that was scattered, and there was a lot of historical data as well, because considering like they are there from 1972, they had a lot of contextual historical data, and their existing infrastructure could not really handle the kind of growth that they were seeing and the kind of e-commerce growth that they were seeing at that moment of time. So how they found out something like Hevo, and they connected their 52 plus sources into it, and this is how their data stack eventually ended up looking like. So connected all of those 52 sources with Hevo, and ended up landing it in Snowflake. So there were a couple of initial outcomes that they were able to achieve, which was more like um, they saw like 91% of their historical data only got transferred into Hevo in 4.5 days, which is a lot, because considering the companies there has been there for years, it becomes very important for the scale of data that they were trying to push, and how much they were able to push, how quickly, right? They also save like 12 plus engineering days, like I said, like taking 2 weeks, four engineers taking 2 weeks to make these API integrations. And those integrations also were very brittle. So they used to break off more often. So uh, they saved up a lot of time, a lot of money as well, and also their visibility of dashboards that we were talking about before increased by 50%. So I remember them telling that they um started using their dashboards in first week itself, and they eventually saw 50,000 hits in the first week, which is like all their sales team were more involved in using those dashboards, building their pipelines, and also keeping a track of information and keeping a track of sales that they were having. So this is how a company, a legacy company, was able to migrate to cloud and then achieve these kind of results. And I think this becomes like a very clear pathway. We can also share like this case study online as well with you all who are attending. So this is how we wanted to summarize that the all the things that we talked about and we showed the demo about, there's a company out there who've been doing that already, and your company could be the next one. So for the next part of it are the next steps, which is like you can start a free trial and see if Hevo actually suits up your needs. You can also book a personalized demo. You can also, and we'll be sharing like a couple of recordings and a few resources as well after the webinar, after the demo days. Thank you so much, Skan, for joining in. We'll wait a couple of minutes for questions. See if somebody has some question to ask, and then we can definitely conclude the demo days. Much for everybody for joining. It was great to see folks joining in and learning new things about you and about the industry as well. Thank you so much, Skand, for your
Thank you.
time and your information. All right, see you soon again.